BookTube, welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie, and I'm going to do a book haul for you because I literally just got back from the roast office. I figured it's a news, the most expensive book is like $4 or $5, so I figured that'd be okay. And I wouldn't go too far to the halfway point of my budget. I'm, it gives me anxiety when I get too far. Even if I'm not over my budget, if I get like to 50, having spent $50 already in the first week, then I get a little anxious. So, and I think, I spent today was $12 for 3 books. So, I mean, I think that's a pretty good deal. But anyway, I'll show you this in a minute. Right now, I want to talk about something else so I looked at the comment section of my Count of Monte Cristo, why I think it would be a great TV show video, and which I did 2 years ago, and I was just thinking about it, and I realized it's probably probably the most challenging for me, because like, not the video itself, but getting those comments, because I'm so used to people just like my friends agreeing with me and everything, and knowing my friends, and I won't fight my friends or anything like that about if we disagree. And we don't disagree that much. And then, and I talked about in the video how I actually liked the 2011 movie that was based on the book. And then I'm pretty sure and I've said this before, that I'm pretty sure, I mean, I will not go back and watch myself because I don't like hearing myself. It makes me cringe. And I think I sound so nasally, and I don't like it. It just bugs me hearing myself. But I'm pretty sure in that video, I said that I acknowledged it was a bad adaptation of 2011, but I still kind of enjoyed it. And then I was looking at one of the comments today, and they did explain why they didn't like the movie, how it was a terrible adaptation, and it took away a lot of aspects of the book. Like, one of the things the first thing I remember reading in her comment was talking about the cynicism of Edmund, his bitterness, and why he wanted his angriness. And I totally get it, and I agree, it was more of a swashbuckling and adventure story, so it was definitely more of if you separate it from the book and look at it as a separate story, as a different story and not an adaptation, then I think it's an entertaining movie. But as an adaptation, I think, like I said, it is not a good adaptation. It's a bad one. And I did comment, I think it was an old comment because I responded to it. I think I already responded to it, and like I said, I think I probably came off as I worry because I don't get them. I try to avoid getting into fights with people on the internet. But I worry I might have responded passive aggressively the first time, because I think I did respond to it once before, pointing out that, well, I did say in my video already, so hopefully, I don't know if I sounded passive aggressive or not. I worry that I did. But today, I just decided to spur the moment. I was looking because someone had recently commented and was telling me that in 2024 there's going to be a new adaptation with Sam Coughlin, who I really do like. He was Finnick Odair. He was in Me Before You. I don't remember the character's name in that one, but he was the guy that the main character, the main protagonist had to take. He was taken care of, and I think he was a paraplegic. And she became a caretaker and kind of fell in love with him. And he was in the Pirates 4. I think it was Stranger Tides. He was like a priest who falls in love with a mermaid, I believe. And then he was Mycroft Holmes in the Enola Holmes series, movies, which I really enjoyed. I think he did, and he's playing, I believe he said in the comment that he's playing Dantes. So, which is really cool. I think he will do a great job on that part. So they were telling me that's happening, so I was excited about that and everything. But on the one hand, that comment, so I responded to that other comment explaining why, and I also added that I appreciate that their comment and that they explain why, because other people don't always explain themselves, which really is annoying when people just basically leave a rant review saying, not really going into depth and explaining why they didn't like something. That's a pet peeve of mine, when people just say, this was horrible. And hopefully me saying that didn't sound passive aggressive, and it just was like, because like I said I appreciate your comment and explaining why you feel the way you feel and don't like and everything. And so it was just a weird experience, because it was just like, I don't know how to handle. I feel like sometimes I don't know how to handle it, because I don't want to come off as, bad attitude or be like, how dare you disagree with me. It's just, it catches me off guard when I realize, oh wait, there are people that don't feel the way I do, like, don't agree with me on something. It's like, okay, how do I respond to that without getting all nasty or getting like, how dare you disagree with me? Because I don't feel that way. I don't feel like, it's just kind of more of this thing where, someone not agreeing with me, okay, what do I say? Without, or not knowing how to respond in debate with the person or discuss it with them without feeling a little like, oh, you don't like something that I like? Because I'm not gonna lie and say there isn't some of that feeling of, like, oh, I like this, oh wait, you don't like this? A little hurt kind of feeling, a little hurt feeling that someone doesn't like, especially when they give this, it's harder for me when, especially on social media, when people give these really thorough explanations. On the one hand, I appreciate it as long as it's not mean-spirited, but on the other hand, it's like, oh, whoa, okay, I don't know how to respond. It makes me feel I'm just kind of dumb, because it's like, I just wanting to be able to give, feel like I want him to give that kind of response and explain things, but then I don't have any, like, oh, I'm, going through the book and pointing out little things here and there, and I've had acquaintances, friends on Facebook when we were talking about, like, the show Once Upon a Time, and people getting into arguments on there about that show, and some of the girls I would hang out with, and I put that in quotes because I didn't know them in person, they would just be like, explain, it was like, oh, I'm glad I agree with them mostly, because I don't want to, I would not want to get into argument with them, a debate with them. And it's always, I'm just not very good at explaining myself, my reasoning for liking and not liking something, or feeling the way I feel. It's more like, and I don't want to sound like someone who doesn't know, someone that can be articulate about their feelings, or sounds like only emotional about something and not being able to explain myself. So it's just a kind of a weird moment for me, and knowing how to respond and be mature about it, and not come off as, mean-spirited or passive-aggressive or something, which I worry that I might have before. It just caught me off guard. I was like, okay, how do I respond to this? What do I say? Because it's surprisingly easier for me when someone agrees, because it is easier, I think, at least for me, when someone agrees with me to talk about, because then we can talk about everything we agree on, and, oh, I like this, no, they did this great, and, oh, yeah, this, and I personally think it can be easier to talk to someone who agrees with you, because you know what to say, and unless you're just a really good debater and good at explaining things and coming up with, like, now at the same time, I don't want to have, like, a relationship with a friend or partner that we agree on every single thing. Like, I don't want that, because that, I think, is kind of boring after a while. But at the same time, again, it's easier just to talk to someone who agrees with you. So yeah, just having a little honesty moment here. He said, hopefully my response to that person's comment doesn't come off as passive aggressive. It comes on more as just polite and friendly conversation. Just being like, I feel that I actually think I enjoy it, but I agree it's a bad adaptation. But anyway, yeah, so I just wanted to, bring that up because it happened around the same time I was at the roast office. So let me show you what. Oh, I did read a little bit there. I read a little bit of the next chapter in Search of Mary Shelley. I'm reading this for Nonfiction November. And so I guess it is considered a biography. It's just really short compared to the other biographies I've seen that I have. But the chapters are kind of long, so I'm going to read a little bit more after I'm done filming, probably. I might film one more video today, and then I'm going to read a little bit more. But, it's what it is, a biography about Mary Shelley, the author of Frankenstein, her life. I read the part, that her and her sister Fanny, who I believe was adopted, which I didn't know that, but I don't know a lot about Mary Shelley, though. And, she was kind of her dad's favorite child, and, like I said, I don't have a lot to say, because I've read, only 2.5 chapters, so, but yeah, I wanted to mention that I did read a little bit. I made some progress, and I also made some progress last night before I fell asleep on Rosemary's Baby on my Kindle, and in that one, I've got as far as when Rosemary she's feeling this pain from the baby inside of her, and she's starting to kind of, like, she's not drinking the drink that, Miss Castafet was giving her, and she's experiencing all this pain, and then her friends are kind of making her question things now a little bit more, and of course her husband's getting all mad and pissy about it, and be like, you can't trust them bitches, and he's just angry about it, and he gets angry when they recommend she go to Dr. Hill, which is the first doctor one of her friends had told her she should go to, but then the Castafets kind of convinced her, oh no, you should go to our doctor, and it's just so, I'm so frustrated. But then I know that I do know, because I got a little spoiled, that she is being controlled. Like, they're kind of drugging her to be complacent. And, but it's one of these things where it's like, they kept mentioning it, this drug that and how it smells bad, but then she's gotten used to it, and it doesn't smell as bad. So I don't know if it would be considered a spoiler or not, really. I mean, you kind of figure the Tanis root has something to do with, what's going on. But oh my god, like I said, I don't know if it's because I got an idea of already what's going on or what, but I do feel like the cast of us are just being very overly into her, helping her out. But anyway, so, like, she's feeling all this pain, and the pain finally has gone away, so now she's back to being like, oh, this is great, I'm fine. It's just really frustrating, because I'm like, no, this is not normal. And, the fact that the doctor that they set her up with is like, oh, don't talk to your friends, and every single pregnancy is so very different, so you can't talk to them because they won't know. Like, to me, that's a little weird, because, like, you can still, even if pregnancies are different for everybody, you can still get advice from your friends and suggestions, or at least get a second opinion, which her husband's all like, oh no, can't have that. Like, and it's just, I'm enjoying the book, but I'm just getting so frustrated with the characters, in a good way, I mean, that's probably what it wants you to get frustrated with them. Okay, so that's how I'm reading. So let's talk about what I just purchased. Mercy, yeah, this is a okay. This is a book that I've Chris, I think his name is, I forgot his name. Chris, I think it is. I don't know if I remember his name. From Leaf by Leaf, he's done reviews on this book and talked about this book a lot. This is the same author who wrote Gravity's Rainbow, which I would like to try that as well, probably at some point. I mean, it's very intimidating though. But this is Mason and Dixon, which I think has to do with the Mason-Dixon line. Okay, so this here, I don't know if this gives a explanation what the book's about. If this is but Charles Mason, 1728 to 1786, and Jeremiah Dixon, 1733 and 1779, were the British surveyors best remembered for running the boundary between Pennsylvania and Maryland. That we know today as the Mason-Dixon line. Here is their story as reimagined by Thomas Pynchon in an updated 18th century novel featuring Native Americans in frontier talk, ripped bodices, naval warfare, conspiracies, erotic and political, and major caffeine abuse. Wow. Unreflectively entangled in crimes of demarcation, Mason-Dixon takes us along on a grand tour of the Enlightenment's dark hemisphere, from their first journey together to the Cape of Good Hope to pre-revolutionary America, and back to England, into the shadowy yet redemptive turn of their later lives, through incongruities and conscious parallaxes of personality, tales of questionable altitude told, intimated by voices clamoring not to be lost. Along the way, they encounter a plentiful cast of characters, including Benjamin Franklin, George Washington, and Samuel Johnson, as well as a Chinese Fang shoemaster, a Swedish irredentist, a talking dog, and a robot duck. The quarrelsome, daring, mismatched pair, Mason was as melancholy and gothic as Dixon is cheerful and pre-romantic. Pursue a linear narrative of irregular lives, observing and managing to participate in the many occasions of madness presented them by the age of reason. So it's the Mason-Dixon line, which I probably crossed at least once in my life, because I lived in Maryland for years, and I have family in Pennsylvania, so I probably at least The Crying of Lot 49, V, Gravity's Rainbow, Slow Learner, and Vinland. Those are some of their other works. But I do know this is a very hard, I do believe this is a very hard to read, with the writing style. I mean, I'm also attempting The Recognitions, which is by J.R. J.R. is the other book he wrote, by William Gaddis, which is the writing is very hard. It's a little more challenging, or at least it's the writing style I'm not used to. So I would like to, although this one at least has quotes around it, like quotes around the dialogue, which I really appreciate, because like there are some other people, like other authors, where they don't include quotes. They choose not to, because that's not how people really, I don't know. I have to look up the reason why they're arguing for not using quotes, because to me that just makes it confusing. But yeah, so I was very excited to see this. I had an audible gasp when I saw this. I'm so glad I got this. But yeah, I think this will be very interesting because I do like history. So the other two books are a little light compared to that. There are two books that I bought. So, we're seeing old stuff from the original. Okay, so this one is a bit of an adventure story. It's in the 1800s. So I'm going to read the back. In 1857, on the run from prying British customs-men, Captain Quillian Keely and his band of rum smugglers from the Isle of Man are forced to put their ship's sincerity up for charter. The only takers are two eccentric Englishmen headed for the island Tasmania. The Reverend Geoffrey Wilson, who believes the Garden of Eden was located there, and Dr. Thomas Potter, who is developing a sinister thesis about the races of men. And these passengers are only slightly odder than the crew, a diverse and lively bunch better equipped to entertain one another than to stare sincerity around Cape Horn and across the Indian Ocean. Yet they set sail bound for a thrilling epic romp across the high seas and cultures of the 19th century. Meanwhile, in Tasmania, an aborigine named Pive recounts his people's struggles against the invading British, who prove as lethal in their good intentions as in their cruelty. As the English passengers approach Pive's land, their bizarre notions are ever painfully at odds with reality. We know a mighty collision is looming. I hope I said the character's name right. Pive. I don't know if I said that right, but yeah, this seemed like a fun story, kind of fun. Compared to Mason Dixon. I thought I would read this, so I got that one. And then this next one is even more like a kind of a more fun story. The Visitors. Another historical fiction adventure story sent abroad to Egypt in 1922 to recover from the typhoid that killed her mother. 11-year-old Lucy becomes swept up in a feverish excitement surrounding the search for Tutankhamun's tomb. She forms an immediate bond with Frances, the daughter of an American archaeologist. Through this friendship, Lucy witnesses firsthand the intrigue, politics, and passion surrounding this quest. Their friendship sustains them throughout childhood, guides them through the class-ridden colonial society into which they grew up, and takes them into adult life that promises fulfillment until it veers towards heartbreak. Looking back on her past, much later in life, Lucy tells a deeply moving story of love and loss, of mistakes made and incendiary secrets concealed. She reveals the circumstances that lie behind the most celebrated discovery ever made in the Valley of Kings, a discovery clouded by deception in which triumph swiftly turns to tragedy, and a story that mirrors her own. As Lord Carnarvon and the archaeologist Howard Carter forced the desert to yield its treasures, Lucy reveals the extremes to which people are driven by desire, even when their extremes involve building a life around a lie. So the premise actually kind of reminded me of another book I'm currently reading. Anglo-Saxon Attitudes by Angus Wilson. That also kind of has an older person looking back on their youth and how there was this discovery, but it turns out it's a lie kind of situation. So I'm gonna I want to read. I maybe should read both these books together. Because since they have similar premises. But anyway, those are the books I bought today. So I am very excited to read these. It's gonna take me forever to read something like Mason Dixon. I feel like next year, 2024, I should focus on bigger books. I mean, I said that before, and I feel like I didn't do a good job with it. I mean, this, earlier this year, I did finish a few that were, I had been reading for a while. Like The Physician, for instance, and then bigger, Ruin, and, I'm looking at, they're over here, The Ruin of Kings, and The Way of Kings. I mean, especially The Way of Kings, because it took me years to read that, and it's not that hard to read. It's very easy and fun, and I do like Brandon Sanderson, but the longer the book, even if it's an easily read book, it still can be quite a commitment on my part that needs to be made on my part. I'm just not very good at that. But anyway, so yeah, so that's my book haul and a bit of an sharing some, honest thoughts on something as well. So if you guys like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, click subscribe if you haven't already, click the bell notification below if you want to be notified about my latest videos, and I hope you are enjoying what you're reading, and I will talk to y'all later. All right, bye!